What's up, everybody? It's Mark from Lawn Creeps Limited out here in Villa Park, Illinois.
The Garden Village.
Last video, we kind of called it the Frozen Village. About 8-9 inches of snow. It was going into some minus 25-degree weather. And as you can see behind me, said snow has melted about 5 days after that discussion we had about how the cold weather is going to affect our lawns and gardens. It got to be about 50 degrees. So, you do the math, right? I'm not a mathematician, but that's somewhere around the 70 degree swing. That's weird stuff. So what does that mean for gardens and lawns? God only knows. But there's a few things that probably most likely will happen. I mentioned it last time, the heaving. Heaving is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, with the freeze-thaw cycle that goes on. That water that's in the soil freezes, thaws, and that root system kind of gets a little bit twisted and turning, and the plant kind of pushes itself up out of the earth a little bit. So the crowns of your plants could be up out of soil level a good, several inches. So, no big deal. Shouldn't really affect them. It shouldn't cause them to die necessarily. You could kind of, work them and stick them back into the ground. But, kind of a shocker to see, when you first kind of see that in your gardens. I would imagine that rings true, especially for newly planted perennials or shrubs, especially that you might have planted from divisions this past fall, right? Fall's a great time for gardening and all of that stuff. But again, like I said in part one, did they get their root system kind of established and strong enough and deep enough to withstand this stuff that we've had thrown at us this year? So ground, is still frozen technically. That means that the rain from yesterday is just kind of not draining well. Will it do weird stuff to certain parts of your lawns or certain beds? Probably, especially those perennials that don't like a soggy, wet, late winter, spring. Blanket flower comes to mind. That's almost kind of a tender perennial around these parts. It is a touchy kind of plant that is short-lived, they say. That's the one I'm kind of wondering, is that going to survive this soggy, weird, wet, bizarre winter? Who knows? So in terms of lawn care, last time we talked about how that snowpack insulates your lawn and all of that stuff. And I kind of mentioned, hey, don't worry about going out onto your lawn in that 9-inch snowpack and make snow forts and snowmen with your kids. Everything's going to be fine. Now, obviously, we don't have that snowpack. Without that insulation, it is obviously susceptible to some windburn, some foliar damage and all of that stuff as it breaks out of dormancy. It might look a little bit different than it had, the previous spring and summer and growing season in general. Mother Nature trumps all, like I always say, and with this insane weather, it's susceptible to wind damage. I would definitely stay off of it at this point. Not only because of crown damage when it gets even colder than it is now, which it's pretty cold. You see me kind of shivering. You see my breath there. But also the soil structure. You obviously don't want to be messing around when compacting soil and really kind of goofing it up in that regard. So definitely stay off your lawn. Yesterday was kind of a mild day, right? And we all went out on a walk, but we stayed out on the sidewalks and kind of walked around our neighborhood on the sidewalk. Still a little bit of that lawn psycho in me that I didn't want to really go out on my lawn with the kids, even though it was nice out. Other than that, I kind of mentioned, the salt damage that could happen to your lawns and stuff like that. Don't ever be that much of a lawn psycho or an idiot where you sacrifice your family's safety for your grass. I would think that most of you that are watching this would probably be of that same mindset. But yeah, just weird weather, and this is kind of a vlog, more or less. And I'm just going to kind of keep you posted about this crazy-ass weather. And I've got this vest on and a flannel only, and I'm freezing. It's actually colder out here than I thought, so we'll check you later, lawn creeps. It's susceptible.